Hey everybody, welcome to another Conan Exiles custom map tutorial. This is tutorial number 25, and I decided what we could do is we're going to cover landscape splines. And what you can do with these is you can actually create roads or paths with them. Also the possibility, I believe, you might be able to do some fencing with this, but usually they use a different type of spline system for that. However, we're going to cover the path and road usage of the landscape spline tool. So we'll go ahead and we'll start that here in a sec. And also what I'm going to do is quickly show you how to make some basic materials with some textures, and I'll include this in a downloadable pack. That way you guys can go ahead and kind of do this yourself as well. So let's go ahead and we'll get cracking. So let me go ahead and get my desktop up. Okay, here we go. All right, so first off, you will import these, so you'll actually import them, and you kind of already know how to do that from the previous tutorials. So I've got them already imported here, so what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and use Road Spline Plane 1. However, I got to create the material for it, because right now it has no material. It's world grid material, so it's gray checkered, so it's not ready yet. So let's go ahead and start with that procedure. So I'm going to go ahead and create one with the grass material. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click in here, and we're going to go to material, and I'm going to call this mi underscore road underscore grass path. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and click that open. All right, and what we can do here is I'm going to go ahead and kind of shrink my content browser up a little bit, so we can kind of work with both open and just pop in between the two. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these textures and we're going to drag them out. Now we're going to start with RMK Grass 01, which is an albedo, okay, or a diffuse texture. So we're going to go ahead and drag that out. And what we want to do is we want to connect that to the base color. Okay, so that's our base color. And if you notice, it kind of gives us a preview of what it looks like. Right now it's shiny, has no texture to it, it's just a nice smooth shiny ball. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take out the RMK Grass normal, okay, drag that out, plop it in here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to connect that to the normal position. Now you can see that we actually got some kind of a texture starting to create where it's got a little bumpy surface. That's what does this, is the normal, okay. And then what we need to do is kind of cut down some of the shiny stuff, so we're going to go ahead and drag this roughness texture out. And these can vary in different ways. You can either have a metallic one or specular, okay, but we want roughness, okay. We don't want it to be shiny, we want it to be rough looking, okay. And then what we want to do is I want to double check, make sure I'm not missing any other textures real quickly here. So we have the albedo, the normal, the roughness, okay. And we don't want to use the one with the path, because you have the path here. We can actually make tire tracks, but we're not use tire tracks in Conan. Alright, so I think I have everything here. There's some different textures here you can play with, but I'm going to go ahead with this. Okay. So I'm going to apply it and save it. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and close the material, but I'm going to go back to my content browser. Now you're going to see the material up in the left-hand side up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click on it, though, because what we want to do is we want to create a material instance. If you remember when we covered corals, I talked about instances. So let's go ahead and we're going to make an instance, and we're going to leave it as that. So now it's an instance, okay. So I'm going to hit save on this. Now there's other things you can do this material to make it even more fancy, give more instructions, and make it do different things. But I'm just going to keep it very basic. I hate building materials. It's not one of my favorite things. So just to let you know. But there's tutorials on YouTube that cover in depth on materials and building, and I find materials kind of boring, even though I need them to build, beautiful art and stuff. I hate dealing with them. They can be complicated, and if you hook them up wrong, you can break them, and they have to restart and do all sorts of things with the wire nodes to make sure everything runs smoothly and correctly. Okay, so now we're going to use plane 1, and I believe it's just a flat plane. It's kind of got a little bit of an edge to it, if you see that little smooth edge, okay. And I'm going to go ahead and take our material and I'm going to plug it in our static mesh. So I'm just going to kind of shrink this down. Okay, I'm just going to drag it over, plop it in, and there we have it. There's our road mesh, so to speak. So there's our path that we're going to kind of create with this material. Okay, and I'm going to close that. Actually, sorry, I'm not going to close it. I want to save it, so I'm just going to hit save all, so that way it saves all this stuff here accordingly. So I'm going to save that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start the spline process. And this can be kind of crazy, the spline system. It can be very buggy, so you have to be very careful with it. It does get crazy, so we'll go ahead and save this material. All right, okay. So we have our mesh. All right, so we got that already covered. I'm gonna go ahead and slow my camera down so I don't make you sick and myself sick. All right, so now if you notice, I got two tiles open. I got 0, 1 over here and 1, 1. But with spline meshes and level streaming, we want to make sure that the spline mesh is on the current level. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, go to levels, and I'm going to go ahead and hide 1, 0. And I'm just going to make sure I got 1, 1 selected, which is blue. All right, so this is the one we're going to start with. And I'm going to go ahead and start our path right here on the mountainside, okay, or the hillside. And what we need to do to start the landscape spline system, okay, let me double check one thing, make sure I'm good to go. Okay, we go up here to the landscape, and we're going to go to manage, and we're going to go to not edit splines, but what we're going to do is we're going to go down to, oh sorry, yep, it was already there. All right, so edit splines. All right, and what we're going to do now is I'm going to click a position here. I'm going to use my control key and left mouse click, and it gives us a little mountain. Okay, and then what I'm going to do also is then I'm going to left click or hit control and left click again. Now we're going to get this green plane. Okay, now it doesn't have our mesh yet, so what we have to do is we have to assign the mesh. So in your details panel over here, we're going to go to the segments. All right, we're going to go down here, and let me make sure. All right, down here you got 0, 1, or 0 and 1, and in Unreal Engine it always starts with 0. It never starts with 1, so always remember that 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the way array elements work in the Unreal Engine. Okay, it always starts from 0. What we want to do is we want to go to Landscape Spline Meshes, and we're going to hit the plus sign. All right, and we're going to put our mesh here. So I'm going to go to Content Browser real quick, and I'm going to grab our mesh, and we can either drag and drop it in, okay, and we can put it there. So now it's sitting in there. There it is. That's what it looks like with the light in the engine. And what we're going to do also is we're going to resize it and rescale it because I don't want it that big. Right now, part of it's cutting into the hillside, and I'll show you a little trick with that here shortly. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to rescale this. So on the X, I'm going to give it 20.21. Okay, and on the Y, I'm going to do 0.21. Okay, and the Z, I'm just going to leave it normal. All right, because I'm not going to expand the Z scale. I'm going to just leave the Z as accordingly. Actually, sorry, I think we can get away with it. Let me double check myself. Yeah, so rescale the Z as well just to bring it down so it's not crazy. All right, so now we have that inserted. Now what we can do is we highlight the other end of our little mountain here in our tool, and now we hit the control and left mouse. Now we can kind of drag our path out, and as I drag it around, I want to make sure I don't go off the tile either. So I'm just going to follow it around on my island because I know where I want to go with this sort of. And we're going to just kind of do this and just kind of click around. Oops, hold on a second, my machine needs to catch up. It's too much for it right now. I still have to replace the motherboard in it, so we'll just give it a second. It is thinking for itself at the moment. Yeah, gotta love it. All right, hopefully it don't paint down too many of the splines. If we do, we can delete them. All right, just waiting for it to read. I'm giving it too much to do. With a bad motherboard, this is what happens when you lose a DIMM slot and you're running on single channel memory. Sadly, until I get my replacement. All right, come on, come on, come on. Don't embarrass me. We're trying to get the tutorial done there, machine. All right, come on. I can't move yet. All right, still waiting for it to register. Sorry, guys. I was not planning on this thing to bog down like it did. Still waiting. Alright, did I lock up? I can bring up these other windows right now, so I still haven't totally locked up. I'm just hoping the engine didn't lock up. Please don't lock up. Not in the middle of the tutorial. Let me hit Control Delete. Let me see here what's going on. Task Manager real quickly. Make sure it's not frozen. Let's see what it's doing here. Alright, AMD Ryzen. Performance app processes, background processes. Please do not be locked up. Oh no, you're not responding. Oh man. Alright guys, well this is not cool. I was hoping we would not be stuck like this. Okay. Well, this is embarrassing. And I'm giving it a chance to think here. I didn't want to cut it off just yet. I'm just hoping it would recover itself, but it doesn't look like we're going to recover. Let's see. Yeah, it's having a hard time here. Alright, so let me go ahead and I guess we're gonna have to kill it. And I'm gonna try, yeah, let's try to kill it one more time. I'm just gonna go ahead and kill it and restart it here. I do apologize. I really do not want to have to start this recording over. So in Splice Video, because I do not have an editor of Splice Video right now. So let's go ahead and move this over here. Library quickly. I do apologize, guys. Sorry about this. This is definitely, I need to get a machine. Just way too much going on for it at the moment. Alright, let's relaunch this. Hopefully it'll load up pretty quickly. And I'm hoping I don't have to redo all my materials and stuff. I think that should all be good, and I should have saved it, so we should be good. Alright. Alright, our dev kit is launching. Okay, we'll just sit here and wait. Sorry about this. Oh man. This might be just a little over on size. Sorry about this. Damn it. My luck. It's always too much for the machine, the dev kit. I definitely need to get a new machine, that's for sure. So, but yeah, so with landscape splines, you just have to be very careful about what happens and what they do. They can apply themselves on the map when you don't want them as well. It can get kind of crazy. It's a buggy tool. So let's see here. Where are we? 86%. Come on, come on, come on. Let's load up here. All right. Just waiting. Just waiting. Now open up another version here and see what happens. All right, come on, come on. It's definitely taking a little bit. All right, where are we at? 15 minutes. Come on. Damn this thing. So I really don't want to have to restart the tutorial and rebuild materials and all that stuff. Export it, delete it, and redo all the steps for you. Damn, this pisses me off. Alright, okay, we're back on here. Alright, and I know that I clicked open another dev kit, and I'm just waiting for it to load. I think we're going to see it's loading in the back. Yeah, that's what I was doing. Okay. Alright, so it should be popping in here shortly. Okay, so back to mods. Alright. Get our level back up. Alright, here's our level. And we'll do 1, 1. Okay, cool. Alright, sorry about that, guys. So, yep, we have nothing on the landscape. Good. Alright, and I'm like I said, I'm just waiting for that other dev kit to pop open here. Just because sometimes it does some weird things right now. Okay, so custom content paths. There's my roads. Okay, so we're here again. Alright, so back to our landscape spline. Sorry about that again. I do apologize. I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, but this is upsetting when I'm in the middle of a tutorial, and I don't plan on these things to happen like they did. Alright, so back to where we were going with this. So the steps again. So we go to our segments. We're going to go to our spline mesh here on the right hand side. We're going to go ahead and click this open. Now you have a choice too. You can put collisions on it if you want, or no collisions. You can also do shadows, cast shadows, or don't cast shadows. Okay. Right now, you can use this for performance. It shouldn't be a problem. You know, if you want, you can kind of cut the shadows off. It all depends on what you're doing. Okay, so back to our content folder. We go here. We're going to drag our mesh back in here. Boom. All right, I'm going to resize this again. Point, I think it was 21. And remember, it's 0.21 to shrink, and then to go bigger, you go with the 1.0 and higher. Okay, so I'm doing 121 right now. Okay, and I'm going to slow my camera down. And like I said, we got that all set up. I'm just going to go ahead and hit Control, left click. And as I was doing before, I'm trying to wrap this around my island. Now, what's funny here, this is where the tool's getting buggy, so I'm just going to delete that. I'm going to go ahead and go back on here. And I deleted that one and reattached it. So just make sure when your spline tool does weird things like that, just stop, try to go back and fix it by clicking on another point. Now, if you notice, I can make the points closer and larger apart. The closer they are, the more of the ability you have to adjust their position and location on the map. So just like so, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up the hill sort of like this. Okay, and these are great for building even highways in games too. These are kind of nice. But what we do is we just kind of place it out wherever you think it is, but you remember you want to keep it on the correct tile. You do not want to go off the tile, but you can make them meet up. Okay, so I'm just going to go right there and stop there. Okay, so now I got it laid out, my path, and like I said, what you can do is you can individually click on these, hit your space bar to get your transform, and I can adjust. Now you can't see it in the terrain right now, so don't worry about that, because what I'm going to show you next is going to be interesting. So you just kind of shape it, all right, and then what we do is we take and go up to the tool here. Now right here it says in the tool settings carefully, it says deform landscapes to splines. So what that means, it's going to actually deform the terrain to match the splines and flatten it against wherever this green trail is. Okay, depending on the width too of your mesh, it's also going to affect it. So the wider it is, like this green, it's going to affect this line. That's a little hard to see, so let me get in closer. So where this line is, it's going to deform the terrain, and you're going to notice how it's going to lift it to the mesh. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead and hit all splines. Now you can select individual splines and deform the mesh to it, but I'm going to do all splines. And so now what happens when I do that is it's deformed the terrain. Notice how it's shaped the terrain to follow the spline down the hill and wrap it around, okay? And goes up as we follow it around. Now there's some spots that you're going to have issues like this. You can just take this and then hit only selected and see if you can get it to form. But otherwise, you're going to have to take your tool, your smoothing tool, and try to change that. And what you can do is you can kind of do this to the point that's sunk under the terrain a little bit and give it a little bit of a rise to it. Same here. Do the same here. And then try to deform the terrain. If it doesn't, just give it a little bit of thing. And then click the individual, and so on and so forth. And right here, just gently, because we're using a flat mesh, and I used a flat mesh with a curve on it, so it kind of cuts in so it doesn't raise it, it's not floating. But that's what you want to do with the splines. Just kind of adjust it, go through, just gently move them to where you can see the path where you need it, or use your smoothing tool, your sculpting tool. But it is a pain in the butt when you're sculpting and trying to smooth these things. They can be quite difficult. Okay, and I'm just going to raise that up and try to hit only, and just a little bit here, like so. And notice how that one's floating in the terrain. Don't want to touch it. Sometimes the terrain just doesn't register. It's like, no, I've registered, and I just went ahead and hit all splines again. And notice how it's raised that in the mountainside here, and this right here, this edging, like I said, it brings it right up to the green line. And that's kind of what you do. You can adjust it this way, you can pull it up this way, you can do angles, so just be careful, depending. You just got to use very precise small movements to adjust and fix things. Okay, so now if we go in here, now to click off this so we don't mess anything up, what I'm going to do now is we're going to take and just go up to our little cube here, our place, click that, and then it instantly shuts it off. So now we can't even touch it, we can't move these. Now it's embedded. So I'm going to go ahead and try to hit play from here, and hopefully we should be able to play and not crash out. Here's our other dev kit that just opened up. All right, let me go ahead and kill that one. All right, and we'll go ahead and play here. And if you guys have to, you obviously know, just fast forward through the sad part of this. I should remember to say, just fast forward this part where we crash in the video. And of course, this is making me create another character, like always, for whatever reason. It always makes me create a new character. Hello, new character. All right, for the 5,000th time. All right. And we should load in here. All right, and hopefully on the next tutorial, what I'll do is I'll teach you how to change out the background loading screens and the hints, so that way you can kind of customize your own hints and your own background screens. So we'll try to do that. So let me make a note for the next tutorial is background or loading screens, I should say. Sorry, loading screens. Okay, and I'm gonna hit OK, and obviously. Okay, well, that was interesting. Okay, we hit the safety net. It's alright. That was weird. Okay. Alright. So, we have our path here. As you can see, I can run on it. And also, really quickly too, I have the collisions turned on, so I should not sink. So I should not sink here. I'm going to hit V for the vanity camera. Yeah, there you go. So we're actually on top of it. Okay, so it does have collision. Okay, so just to let you know. So you can turn that on and off. It's cheaper if you turn it off. However, I have it on right now for the pathing. Okay, so now we have our path, as you can see here. It looks kind of weird and different. But to fix this, what we can do is take in some artistic techniques here. And we can go ahead and paint And let me go ahead and grab some of this river sand. And now I can just kind of paint under it, give it a little formation. Or what we can do is take the grass and take the savanna grass, no, sorry, the green grass, shrink our brush down here, just go along here like so, and then under this, what we can do is I'll take the river sand and narrow my brush and just follow the center line, and I'm just going to cut some of that grass out, depending, but really you can change any texture you want to make this different. I just chose this grass, but it's obviously it needs some adjustments, but this is just kind of a rough way of showing you what you can do with the spline tool. You can create stone roads and using meshes that are in the dev kit to get where you need. So right there, I've cleared the grass, but also another technique what we can do is I can take the sculpting tool here, and like I said, a good example is going back here, and like see where we're floating. We can just take our sculpt tool and then take our flatten tool, try to get the terrain to match up to our mesh here as best as possible. You can also use this technique to kind of go along the edge like here and do something like this, hide your road, whatever you need to do. Obviously it's going to look kind of crazy because I just kind of threw this in here for the tutorial, but to show you what you can do. Now say you don't want the landscape splines there and you screwed up and you don't want them. What you can do is you can go back to your manage tool, go to your edit splines, you hit all splines, right? Sorry, and you can go in here and then take your hit the wrong button. Go back to edit splines, and then what you can do is you can highlight each point, or you can go over here and hit control points, and by hitting the button control point over here on the right hand side of the panel, you can go ahead and you can delete all these. Like, you know what, I don't like this one personally, so I can change it, or what I can do is I can change the material, because obviously this is the most terrible material I picked for this, but I can go to the mesh, so I can actually go to the segments, go to the mesh, search the mesh out, right? Let me hit save all real quick here so I can save this. And what I can do is if I want to try something else, so say let's just go ahead and try this soil one, right? So I can open up the main material here, go ahead and here highlight this node here, the albedo or the diffuse node, go over here to my textures, highlight the texture, go down here where I got the texture highlighted on the material down here, and just plug it in like this, hit apply, and what it should do now is it's going to update all the meshes that are connected to this path. So now you can see it's updated them and they all look the same. So that's how you can do that. Obviously, like I said, this is just kind of a throwdown. So that's one way you can change out something quickly to visually look at it and go, hey, I really don't like that. What a terrible material that Snow picked. You could do that and kind of go from there. I don't know if there's any cool textures in the dev kit right now to look at to change that out, but that's one way you can do it and play with it. But if I had more settings on the material, I can make them darker, lighter. Actually, there's a node here where you can actually plug in a node, a special node. I think it's like a multiply node. And you can connect things like roughness, and then I can connect it to here and connect it to the texture sample here. And then what we can do is we can take the constants, right, and you can change the different expressions of the material, hit apply. And what this does is it will do different things to it, like the roughness. So I can actually roughen the normal. I can roughen the actual the roughness texture. I can do more roughness to it if I need to, based on this little node here. Okay, and if I apply that, I should be able to, I can't remember, I don't know if it's a parameter editable over here in the instance or not. Let me look and double check. No, it's not. There's a special way to set that up. There's a diffuse boost. So you can play with these things here, parameter values, and your material will change. So I can boost the texture. You can do all sorts of weird stuff here. Opacity. We can actually make this very faint and dull, and blend modes and things like that. So with that being said, that's how you can play with spline meshes. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit all control points and delete this off here because I do not like it. But that's what you can do with splines. They're pretty cool. It's really neat. So let me go ahead and now transition back over from my display. All right, here we go. So anyways, that's what you do with landscape splines. I do apologize for the crash and having to do it. I just don't have any editing software, and I did not want to have to restart the tutorial 15 minutes in, so I just went ahead and pushed through. I do apologize for that. Just go ahead and fast forward next time. But yeah, so hopefully you guys are learning a lot. Hopefully I'm explaining it well enough to where you understand it. If not, like I said, leave comments in the community channel that we have on the Patreon page, my Discord channel. Just at me in the Discord if you're inside the tutorial channel. If you're not in there, let me know. I can get you in that channel. It should automatically allow you guys to go in there. If not, just let me know. But I do appreciate your guys' support. Thank you for watching. And I guess the next one we'll try to cover is the loading screens and the hints and how to change those on the data tables and things like that. So without further ado, thank you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.